Hi everyone, John Peitzman here, JP, the creator of the Build Framework and your host on The Build Show with JP. We have an amazing episode for you today. And as a reminder, for those of you who are not yet familiar with Build, you can check out Build at thebuildframework.com, where you understand that Build is an acronym. It stands for Build Relationships, Understand the Business, Implement Strategies, Lead and Inspire, and Deliver Excellence. And what we do here on the Build Show is we actually talk to guests who have implemented the concepts of the Build Framework into their lives to really reach and not only obtain but sustain lasting transformational success both personally and professionally. And today is no different than other episodes. We have an amazing guest with us today. Her name, Seetubtim. And Mo is the founder and creator of the inspirational brand, The Happiness Planner. She designs beautiful, inspirational personal development tools that help you live a happier and more fulfilled life. It also exists as a mobile app, and very soon it will be a web app as well. And today we will talk about how Mo has applied the concepts from the Build Framework to reach this amazing level of success. Mo, hello and welcome. She joins us via Zoom from London. I'm here in Sydney, Australia. Thanks for joining us today, which is this evening for you, I think. Yeah. And how are you today? And I guess the first thing I always ask guests is, what are you excited about right now in your life? And tell us a little bit maybe about your journey too that's brought you to this point in your life.
Yeah, so what am I excited about right now? I guess spending Christmas in Malta, which is a country I've never been to. And as for the journey, originally I'm from Thailand. I was born in Thailand. I spent my time there until I was 18. And then I moved to Melbourne for university. Then I moved to Sydney for my first full-time job. And 4 years ago, I started the Happiness Planner, and that's when I started traveling the world and working on my own business.
Right. That's amazing. And what else does your business, is your business solely focused on the Happiness Planner?
Yeah. It's just the Happiness Planner. The Happiness Planner is basically our core product, our first product. It's an inspirational planner that is designed to help you live a happier and more fulfilled life. It basically encourages you to create a life that is in alignment with who you are and practicing habits that are good for you, like positive thinking, mindfulness, gratitude, personal development.
Great. That sounds amazing. So it's not just a regular planner where you write things down like a to-do list. This sounds like a transformational planner that actually helps you improve your life at the same time of getting things done. Is that an accurate assessment?
Yeah. So it's got like questions that, get you to self-reflect and ask yourself questions that will help you understand yourself better.
Right. Well, that's amazing. So let's understand your journey a little better. And I'd like to talk to you about the Build Framework concepts. And I'd like to start with building relationships and talk to you about one of the most important relationships in your life. I mean, what would you say is one of the most important relationships that you've formed in your life?
I would say the relationship with my father, because growing up, he was, in a way, he was my inspiration and he's my life coach. So a lot of the way I think, my beliefs are influenced by him. And, a lot of what I've learned from him has paved the way for who I am and how I am now. Great.
And is that relationship pretty solid the whole time, or were there a kind of an up and down kind of journey, or is it strong? As time goes on, does it just get stronger, or how does that?
It's pretty solid. Yeah. Like I would say, it's not like affectionate kind of relationship, but it's more like he's like he gives me guidance. He gives me advice, and he's very philosophical, and he's really into personal development. So growing up, he was always teaching me like about how to understand how my mind works, how to have no limiting self-beliefs, because he's an entrepreneur himself, and he grew up poor, and then he managed to build his dream and become successful. So I learned a lot from him. Yeah.
That's amazing. And it fits so nicely into the Build Framework, obviously, because we talk about how important it is to build relationships so that you can then understand the business. And that's exactly what you're talking about, right? You had that really solid relationship so that you could understand the business better in a very practical way. So that's amazing. If we talk about understanding the business, what would you say is one of the key concepts of understanding the business that you think is important for our listeners to hear about today?
I think one of the most important thing that I try to focus on, and I think people should focus on, is focusing on creating value. And I believe that money is just the byproduct of you creating value to the world. And sometimes I feel like we can get lost with numbers, and direction. But if you just keep focusing on, creating value, then at the end of the day, because as the business keeps growing, right, there'll always be competitors. There's always going to be people who try to copy you or try to compete with you. But then if you just focus on creating value, then that creates longevity for the business. It creates brand loyalty. It helps you become authentic, which people can connect with you emotionally as well when you are that way, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, that's great. And when you create value, do you do that? I mean, we talk about the Build framework, obviously, as a heart-centered, approach to life. And do you think creating value from your heart is different than creating value from your head?
Yeah, I mean, creating value in a way that, you have to focus on providing value to people.
Right.
And when you provide value to people, money will come. That's what I mean.
Yeah, no, I think that's true. And when we follow our passion, when we follow our heart, and when we connect with people, in the heart, I think
Yeah.
that adds true value. And you're absolutely right. All those material things, the extrinsic things, follow suit all the time. So that's great insight. Thanks for sharing that. The next thing we talk about within Build is implement strategies, of course. And you've had a lot of strategies. Obviously, I'm sure that you've implemented throughout the years to get to the level of success that you're at right now. As you sit here right now and have the listeners out there kind of listening to your every word, what strategy would you tell them to implement, or what way would you have them look at implementing strategies to help them in their personal journeys?
I would say try to understand how your mind works and become the master of your own mind. It's something that I learned from when I was little. When I was a kid, I always participated in school comms. So that was, competing with my own self and becoming better. And I learned that, the key to becoming successful is to basically, it's almost like you have to be obsessed with whatever you're passionate about. And, and in order to become obsessed with it, you first need to be able to see beauty in whatever you engaged in. When you see beauty in it, then you fall in love with it. When you fall in love with it, then you're obsessed with it. And when you're obsessed with it, it goes into your subconscious mind. And that is when you can succeed in whatever you set your mind to. I hope that makes sense. And I started doing that, with just school, with, school comms, with music, with learning anything in life, from sports to music. And now it just, how I work and how I do business. And if I want to achieve a goal, I pretty much just have to focus on that goal and pretty much have to be obsessed with it to the point that it goes into my subconscious mind. And then I know that when I, put all of my heart and soul into it, then it will become successful.
Right. That's amazing. That's very poetic, actually. It's like fall in love with what you do, right? Become obsessed with it. Have it become part of your DNA. I don't think there's a much more clear strategy than that to implement to make sure you're doing what you love. So that's very well stated. Thanks for sharing that. If we look at the next category of lead and inspire, which you're doing right now, and I know you do pretty much every day of your existence, what tools and tips and tricks can you share with our listeners in the category of leading and inspiring that you think can be helpful for them as we sit here today?
Well, first of all, I believe in being authentic, because the last thing you want is, you're looking up to someone and then you feel like they're faking it.
Right.
So, just be authentic. And I also believe that in order to inspire others, you have to be inspiring. And I also believe in how to say, like when I try to inspire my team, I try to inspire them to think on their own feet. Like I really believe that, like that quote that says, if you want to teach a boy how to fish so he could feed himself for the rest of his life. Like I really believe in that.
Right.
And when I try to inspire my team, I try to get them to learn to think, on their own feet, so that for the rest of their lives, so that they can eventually, think on their feet, and then I don't need to tell them exactly what to do all the time. And that's what I try to do with, me, my team, the people that look up to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's amazing, because you help them do it themselves, right? So you're not always having to do things for them, and they grow in the process. How about applying this to your personal life too? As you know, Build is a system not just for professional but personal growth as well. How do you lead and inspire in your personal side of things?
I think, well, it's not like I've intentionally tried to inspire others, but I think because when I do things, I do things so passionately,
Right.
and I do things from my heart, and people can feel that, and then they just feel inspired by it.
Great, that's amazing, because I think you're absolutely right.
Sense?
It's when we don't try to actually be out there that a lot of people follow us anyway, right? Because you're just being authentic, you're in your heart, you're doing what you're obsessed and love and passionate about, right? So then people see that and they can feel it, right? They can feel that energy, they can feel that vibe, and they follow you. And that's both in the professional context and the personal context. So that makes a lot of sense. Finally, as you know, it all comes together in delivering excellence, right? And I'd be really interested in understanding what delivering excellence means to you, and how you make sure that you continue to deliver excellence as busy as you are, and with all the things going on that you have going on in your life.
I try to do the best I can with whatever I do. I believe that if you focus on making today, or the task at hand, a great one, then eventually, great results will follow. So just do the best you can, and the best, it's something that's subjective, but what is the best for you, and just do the best you can, and just be happy with the results.
Right.
And if not, just as a learning curve or part of the journey that helps you grow.
And if you need to be happy with the results, you can use the happiness planner to help you be happy, right? Because that's what it's all about. I think that this has been an amazing conversation. I really appreciate your time. I always close with asking what words of wisdom you have, right, for our listeners that are out there. And this can be your favorite quote, or something that you've heard through your life that you just live by, or it could be something that you think the listeners need to know right now. But just what, as you sit here right now, are some words of wisdom that you think are really important for the listeners to understand and digest in their lives?
I really like this one thing that my dad said to me. And he said that you can be so smart, you can be pretty, you can be so talented, you can be whatever you desire to be. But if you don't know how to manage yourself, and you don't understand your own mind, then you're not going to be successful. You're not going to go very far. And I think it's very deep, and it's very true. Like, you can be so smart, you can be so talented, you can be pretty, you can be whatever it is. But if you don't know how to manage yourself, at the end of the day, you become the victim of your own self.
Right.
And we've seen stories of that. And I think it's important to understand who we are, and to learn to manage ourselves.
Very profound, and that's true. You look within before you can look without, right? Heal yourself, then heal others. It's all about taking that first step first. So thanks for that wisdom. That's really appreciated. I guess the last thing is just, what services do you offer, and how can listeners get a hold of you if they want to get in touch with you and buy your products or get your services?
Yeah, so I create beautiful inspirational tools like planners and journals, and that basically help you self-reflect and become the best that you can be. And you can purchase it from like the happinessplanner.com.au for Australian customers. And we also have it in like a form of a mobile app and a web app, next year. And if you'd like to get in touch with me, you can just reach me by Twitter or Instagram at Brand Mentalist.
Great. Awesome. Well, thanks so much. I know it's a different time zone and you're in London and we're here in Sydney. You joined us via Zoom, and I'm so thankful that you did that. And I really encourage everyone to go check out the Happiness Planner and really reach out to Mo. She's an amazing individual. And I thank you all for joining me on The Build Show, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. In the interim, you can find out everything about the Build Framework at thebuildframework.com. We'll see you next time.